Spain finally turning it on in Seville. Or did they? That is the question, I suppose, because it was a very, very poor Slovakian performance. No question about that. But the Spaniards added 3 more goals in the second half, and that, I suppose, in some ways has reignited their Euro challenge. But whether we've seen enough today to put them back in the contenders' pot remains to be seen. We'll be certainly getting the views of our panel about that. Damien, in relation to that Spanish performance, I suppose far more to be encouraged about if you're Luis Enrique and maybe a Spain football fan, but still well short of what we've seen in the past from the great Spanish teams.
Yeah, absolutely, Peter. Enrique leading up to the game, Richie mentioned before the game that he compared them a bottle of champagne, they're ready to pop. Well, if they have popped today. Slovakia, on the other hand, didn't put up an awful lot of fight. You'd have to say it was a capitulation job. It does show that if you open up against Spain, that's what they'll do to you. It's a perfect day for them. Obviously true, great win, great for confidence. Get all the subs off the bench, rest a few players. But yeah, it's obviously, I guess even from an Irish point of view, you could look at it, this is the team that put us out last October. Yeah. And even then, if you strip it back, you can maybe start asking questions. You know, the manager that managed in October in the playoff game against Republic of Ireland, Hapal, he got sacked 3-4 weeks later, so he didn't even take the playoff game against Northern Ireland. So it's Tarkovic that's took them in the tournament. But there's something abundantly wrong there. Listen, it's an aging team. The likes of Hamzik, Kuka, you feel sorry for them. They've had great careers in Italy. Changes at half-time, Lobotka coming on in the centre midfield. Yes, he plays for Napoli, but he gives you nothing defensively. So very, very poor from Slovakia. Very, very good from Spain.
OK, well, let's just confirm how the Group E table has finished at the conclusion of all those matches. And there you can see it's Sweden who topped the table, and they await to hear which third-place team they will face in the round of 16. Spain finishing in second place, and as mentioned already, they know their opposition now. They'll be going up against Croatia in their round of 16 game on Monday. And Richie, just thinking about that game, I mean, Croatia... They may not have played that well in their first game, but they have sort of played their way into the tournament and deservedly into the round of 16, and they'll provide far stiffer opposition to Spain than Slovakia did today.
They will. I think today is exactly the script that Luis Enrique would have had in his dreams going into today. A clean sheet, very solid at the back, goalkeeper didn't have much to do, and we open up massively going forward. We finish with a hatful of goals, and everyone is now no longer talking about this team as a team that's too blunt in attack. There is no real ideas going forward. So perfect start for him, or perfect day for him. You're right though. The opposition was alarmingly bad in that second half. Now you could I think Spain technically are better than the 3 teams that are in that group.
Yes.
There's no question about that. Saying the Slovakian team aren't as good as Spain is no big statement, but you need discipline, you need strength of character, you need kind of to stick with it when things aren't going your way. And they just had none of those things. It was just a capitulation in the second half. So it was disappointing from them. We all have the memories of our playoff semi-final defeat to them, which makes this thing a little more, but very comfortable in the end for Spain.
Yeah, it certainly was. Scoreline, Richie, 5-0, can't be argued with in terms of their dominance. But again, I mean, it's amazing that even after a victory of such a level, we're still not convinced by the Spanish side. Why is that? What are the main issues that they still have to contend with, do you think?
I think you've got to look at them over the 3 games. Today was impressive. It was comprehensive. The opposition is a factor. Look at the first game, and there was an inability to move the ball quickly, to be really potent in attack. They were wasteful in opportunities. Repeat that in the second game. And today they were against a team that couldn't defend, weren't good enough to open up against them, were way too vulnerable, and psychologically nothing in the second half. So they haven't given a performance against a quality opposition where you think, OK, this team is going somewhere. However, the graph is going in the right direction. Yeah. You look back at their preparation for this tournament. It was chaos. They were all isolating, training alone, like the worst possible build.
Yeah, I suppose we shouldn't forget that.
Exactly. Yeah, so maybe you look at this and think, well, we've got to have a little bit extra patience here, because they were starting from such a low base. The preparation was terrible, and they worked their way through the group. They haven't been beaten. They have a great goal difference, and they must be full of confidence after today. and used all 5 subs as well. So there's good use of the squad as well. So it's a really strong position for them to be in today. I don't think they'll care whether they're roundly praised or embraced by the Spanish media or the public for the performance. They did exactly what they went out to do.
They did. And I was just thinking of the changes that were made for today's game, Damien. 4 changes in the starting 11. And how much do you think they contributed to an improved Spanish performance today?
Azpilicueta coming in is obviously massive. You see the difference he made to the Chelsea lineup.
Yeah.
He wasn't playing much under Lampard, came in, all of a sudden they're climbing the league and getting to the Champions League final. Busquets was obviously the massive one, returning captain, but obviously the quality he brings, always willing to play forward and play forward quickly. Like I touched on before the game, he's not the quickest, but he can actually up the speed of the Spanish play purely by his passing. And I agree with Richie, you know, they're through the group, they've managed it well, and their form might be just getting better on the rise, similar to maybe England. No standout performance yet. They've got through the group without any difficulty, you would say. So, listen, who knows? They obviously got Croatia in the knockout tie. Will be a lot more open than the games they've just played.
Yeah.
And like I said, the 45 minutes there, the second half, you can see what they'll do to a team that open up against them.
Yeah, Luis Enrique will definitely take quite a few positives from it. Let's have a look back at some of the second half action, Damien. And first of all, Sarabia, who was one of the players who came in for this game, he contributed a lot, didn't he?
Yeah, he was a must for me to come in. Or Torres, out-and-out winger that can, play 1v1 on the side and come in and score a goal. He did well today and obviously gets a goal here. They're a 4-3-3 team, and positionally they're always brilliant, occupying spaces perfectly all over the pitch. Sarabia, as you'd expect, coming in from the far side, managing it really well behind the ball, which they'll have to do against better teams. But a brilliant goal, and like I said, that's them in a nutshell. They've threatened to do it in all the games so far, circulating the ball around the box, and they've done it with ease there. It's a top-class goal.
Certainly was. And then, Richie, not too long after that, Alvaro Morata goes off. Ferran Torres comes on and scores with his first touch. There's a certain irony in that, really, isn't there?
He does, yeah. And I'm glad we saw continuous attacking from Spain, that they didn't just sit back and think, job is done, we're clearly through, we're not going to lose the game, we've done enough. They kept going, aided by a collapse by the Slovakian players, no doubt. But this is really well worked here between Sarabia and Pedri. Perfectly weighted pass, and the ball across the goal. It's just met with too many static Slovakian players. This ball there, first time, punched into him, but you just think of Alvaro Morata. He's getting so much stick. He missed a penalty.
Yeah.
He's been taken off. He's played no part in the goals in what turns out to be a 5-0 win, and his replacement with his first touch scores. So just when you really want to kick a fella when he's down, those are the scenes you don't want to see.
Yeah, certainly not. And they rounded it off with, another humiliation, really, for Slovakia. The final goal being an OG to add to the one from the first half.
Yeah, if the 2 goals we've just seen there summed up the Spanish play, the quality that they have all over the pitch, this sums up Slovakia in the second half. It's wacky racist stuff. I feel sorry for Kuka, or Kucha as his name is properly pronounced. Like I said, he's had a great career in Italy. He's getting on in years now, 32, 33, not the most mobile, but he's had a top career, and he doesn't need to be part of this today because he's a top pro that likes a Hamsik as well. But yeah, as we've mentioned already, it's a capitulation job. We're wearing rainbow pins today, and I think it says Broad on them, which is Irish for pride. Well, there was not a lot of pride from that Slovakian performance in the second half.
No, and indeed it started in the first half, Richie, when you think of it, because the goal that sort of, I suppose, relaxed Spain in a certain way came from a howler, really, from the Slovakian keeper.
Yeah, but we have to be honest, I suppose, that they were going to be up against it because they're not as good as Spain, they're nowhere near it. But to make the level of mistakes that they did here on 2 occasions, Saka's first to pass the ball across his own 18-yard line straight to an opposing player is daft. There are no words to try and describe what the intention here was or the execution by the goalkeeper. Dubravka had an absolute howler there for that one. This is a wonderful little ball here by Pedri, little dink, superb. Goalkeeper's caught out of position. He recovers, but again, it's the quality of the header here from Laporte. He's not saving that. Doesn't matter what his position is. He's gone right into the top corner, so brilliant execution. And at this point, this was just before half time, so 47th minute, they scored in injury time in the first half, and you're hoping then to see exactly what we did see. A commanding second half performance that they go on, flex their muscles a bit, score plenty of goals, and and kind of answer some of the critics as best they could.
I'm not a big fan of bringing the Republic of Ireland into this in any shape or form, but the fact that it was Slovakia we went out to, Damien, I'm not saying this reflects on the Republic of Ireland. My question more is, like, would we have put up a far better showing against a Spanish team like that than Slovakia did today?
Shoulda, woulda, coulda, whoever knows, but 2012, I think I touched the ball 3 times, probably in 90 minutes, and lost 4-0. We never left the edge of our box, so I don't think I'm best placed to comment on that. All I'll say is the Slovakian team are definitely not in a good place.
No.
Changing the manager last October, November, I think, post beating us. But obviously, pre the playoff game against Ireland, I remember watching all their games. They've dominated Wales. They dominate good teams all over Europe. So that's a shadow of their former selves today. But for me to say we would have done better, I said after 2012, I don't think I should comment.
OK, well, let's switch the attention completely to Poland, Richie, because, again, they have a world-class striker, and the point has been made on occasion that sometimes all you need is, a decent team and 1 or 2 world-class players, and it can get you a fair distance into these tournaments, and we see it happening. But we haven't seen it happening with Poland, and Robert Lewandowski isn't the same player in the Poland side as he is in the Bayern Munich side. Now, that may be for very obvious reasons, but I mean, this group, there was a real opportunity for them to get through, and they haven't done it, despite having his great talent.
No, but I suppose you go back to the opening day defeat to Slovakia.
Yeah.
The player got sent off, so down for 10 men for a good part of the second half. And you're right to make the point that he doesn't look as dangerous in a polo shirt as he does with Bayern Munich, but I think what you're suggesting from your question is quite obvious too. The quality he has around him in that Munich side, just the strengths all over the pitch, the amount of chances he's going to get. We were preparing to have a really meaty chat about where does he go in tournaments, but then he got 2 late goals. So I think you're right to say that sometimes the difference between making a tournament or getting out of a group stage is simply having one player that's significantly higher than the rest of the group. He is that for Poland, but he's not enough.
Not enough. Finally, we'll round off with Spain, the team we've been talking about for most of this afternoon's programme. Damien, given what we've seen today and the positives that Richie has spoken about earlier, I mean, if they are gathering a bit of momentum and they do face Croatia next, can you see them going any further than the round of 16? I
don't see why not. They'll absolutely be backing themselves. They won't be listening or reading any press. They're top players, so they won't be faced by that. The one worry again, I know they've scored 5 today, but their number 1 striker, Morata, who will start against Croatia, has struggled somewhat again. But I wouldn't rule out their chances at all against Croatia. Croatia's, a shadow of the 2018 team that got to the final. Again, aging legs and what have you. So the way Spain moved the ball, I don't see why they can't go on and beat them.
No, well, in the end, it was a fairly impressive performance. Still a little bit of doubt hanging over the Spanish side as they try and progress through Euro 2020, but they are now in the round of 16.